What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. If you are new, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as leave a comment. If you would like to continue watching the channel, if you are returning, welcome back, and thank you guys for checking it out. But I do want to start talking about Aaron Gordon and how, in my opinion, I think that outside of Nikola Jokic, obviously, he's the key piece for this Denver Nuggets team, right? Cam Johnson has been making do, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But Jamal's a guy who's going to be great. He's a very good point guard in the league. I think that not that he's replaceable. CB has seemed semi-replaceable just because of Tim Hardaway Jr. stepping up into that spot. I think that his offense isn't the most phenomenal offense in the world. He's a very good player. Last year, his splits were amazing. We'll probably never see those numbers from him again. And you hope that you do every year. But you're able to sort of replace that offense with Tim Hardaway Jr. You're able to replace that defense with Spencer Jones. And it's funny because he's been a semi-subpar defender so far this year. He's been a little, pesky and driven defender, I want to say, when we have seen him play this year. Obviously, he goes down with an injury, but the offensive side of it, Tim Hardaway Jr. completely took over that role, and he's better. There's no way around it. He's better. Like I said, Cam Johnson could hold his own. Jamal last game 16-8, no rebounds, 5 for 14, 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. He also had 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. Like I said, he's not replaceable. But when you look at this team, you're just barely winning a game against the Pelicans when AG doesn't play. With him against the Bulls, you end up losing. But he's a guy who I think that he's the anchor of the team. There's a reason that we call him Mr. Nugget. There's a reason that he has the leadership value and core values that he does when it comes to the Denver Nuggets and the NBA in general. This is a guy who, if the Nuggets don't have him, they don't win the finals one. And if they miss him at any point this year, you don't go anywhere. Look at last year. They make a playoff push. Once he gets hurt, the playoff series is over. Jokic was dealing with his injury. Jamal was sick. Russ had a broken hand. It didn't matter until Aaron Gordon went down. Realistically, the Nuggets were making a push until Aaron Gordon went down. And I truly, truly, truly believe if Aaron Gordon does not get hurt, the Denver Nuggets win a finals. Or at least it's a 2 to 4 point game in that finals, that game 7. It wasn't a blowout. Aaron Gordon, in my opinion, is the most versatile. He is the most important, like I said, outside of Jokic. Jokic is going to have his bad games here and there. AG does everything. So if he's missing shots, he's still playing great defense. If he's missing threes, he's still attacking the rim, which another stat that I think is super interesting. If you look at 3-point percentage this year, it's through the roof. But if you look at his stats against Golden State and then his stats against the other teams in the league, he's sort of just, come back down to earth when it comes to the 3-point shooting, especially after that Golden State game. But like I said, I think that, and I want your guys' opinion on this as well, but I think that Aaron Gordon is the most important player to this Nuggets team when it's not Nikola Jokic. And like I said, I wanted to get into Cam Johnson and how he's been better, in the last couple games. And I think it's funny because his first game where he's really, he really shined as the Cam Johnson that we've all known, the Nuggets lose. Then this game against the Pelicans, they almost lose. And like I said, you're missing Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, or Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. So obviously you're going to be in a little bit of a tougher spot. But Cam Johnson finally is coming back down to earth and settling in. And he put up, played 32 minutes, put up 14, 3, and 5. Shot 6 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. He did have 2 turnovers, but he also had a steal. So he plays good defense. The thing about Cam and MPJ, and I watch a lot of Nets games being from New York, and obviously I love MPJ. The difference between them is MPJ was going to be a guy that I truly think was going to put up more points regardless of the situation, right? In this system, Cam can come to, he can figure it out. He could settle in, which is what he's doing. MPJ was a guy who was perfectly fit for this system, and I think that's why Denver paid him so much, and Calvin Booth obviously didn't help that out, but he was a guy who I don't know if he deserves the contract he got, but he is a phenomenal basketball player. And we're seeing now how versatile he is in Brooklyn because he is doing a lot more than he did on Denver. He's handling the ball more. He's shooting pretty well. He's not playing off the ball as much, so it's a big difference. But the thing about MPJ was he was giving you more rebounds. He was giving you the numbers when it comes to the points per game. I think it was just about 17 or 18 points his entire career with Denver. And obviously they both have a semi-similar injury history. The one thing about Cam and that trade in general is that opened up so many possibilities for Denver. And I think that if MPJ was on the contract that Cam is on, where it allows you to go get Val in a trade, it allows you to bring in Tim Hardaway, Bruce Brown, keep Payne Watson, keep Strother on their rookie deals for a year. If you have MPJ in that situation, nobody would hate MPJ the way they hate him now. Or the way they hated him in Denver. And I know it wasn't really a hate thing. It was more of a, we need to get this contracts off the books, and MPJ doesn't do anything. But if you go around and you look at any Nuggets page when MPJ was on the team, especially late in the playoffs, he struggles one game, and it was, this guy sucks, get him off the team, he's not worth it. But he was just on a big contract. That's any NBA player. Like I said, if he was on Cam's contract, everybody would love MPJ the same way that I think everybody's going to end up loving Cam at the end of the year. And I am one to talk, I guess, because I was a big, not hater of Cam, but I just get very frustrated when a guy who's supposed to take over MPJ's role does it right away. And I was very loyal to MPJ. I loved him. I thought the pick was amazing when they did draft him. I have a couple of his jerseys, and I'll continue to say that. But I think that I was more frustrated with Cam not settling in right away and making that role look so much harder than MPJ made it look. But I think it's nice that Cam is finally settling in, and I think that he's going to do a lot when it comes to getting comfortable in the system. Like I said, he went 1 for 3 from the three-point line, so he's not hitting the threes at the highest clip ever, but it's something that you want to see him continue to do, and I think that's why Denver's probably going to go after some guys at the deadline. And I think that, or you would hope rather, that this management is smart enough to realize that Denver's not fully there yet, and the only reason I say that is because I think those last 3 spots, the Pickett, Najee, and Tyson spots, have to be 3 guys that can play. They have to be just playable guys, and I am all for finding a possible or any possibility to get a guy like Pickett or Tyson off the team and call up a guy like Curtis Jones and see if he is NBA ready at all or if how he would play in the NBA, just because I think they need shooting. And that brings me to the point. Some guys who I think Denver should go ahead and target. I think that the Mavs may end up blowing it up if it's not working out closer to the deadline. I would love for them to get a guy like Christie. I would love for them to get a guy like Najee Marshall, especially Najee Marshall. Another name that I would love from a Western Conference team is Royce O'Neal. Depending on how the Suns do, I think that Royce O'Neal could be a huge could help the Nuggets benefit when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. When you go over to the Eastern Conference, I think the Bulls are going to stick with their team just because they are a good roster. But if they do end up blowing it up, Denver does need a ball handler. I would like to see a guy like Io or a guy like Kobe White, but who knows if they move on from them. But I would also love to see, a guy like Kevin Huerter. I think Huerter could be a great factor for the Nuggets because I think the Nuggets just need more shooting. If you want to talk unrealistic, AJ Green is a guy who I would love for Denver to bring in. The Bucks just extended him. They're not going to let go of him. But if the Bucks blow it up and the Nuggets could get in there and grab a guy on that kind of contract who's one of the best shooters in the entire NBA, I think that could be a fantastic move. I think he's somebody who could him and Jokic would be insane together. But like I said, Najee Marshall I think could be another factor who can come in and really help Denver out. And going right back to the Western Conference, the team we just played, the Pelicans, if the Nuggets could somehow package or make a package to grab Sadiq Bey and Jose Alvarado, I think that could be a fantastic move. You cover the 2 bases you need, which is another power forward off the bench, and you could play him at small forward next to Payne Watson, and you bring in a backup point guard who can actually handle the ball and another good defender who can actually shoot a little bit in Jose Alvarado. And then the last thing I want to cover is the Nuggets taking on a phenomenal team later on, and that is the Houston Rockets. They've been good. They've been a really good team. Şengün's been a monster. For some reason, the Rockets have our number. I don't know what it is about them, and they're just going to continue getting better with Kevin Durant. But I am hoping that AG is better. I know it was just a load management injury, but as long as he's playing, I think Denver's in a fine spot. And that matchup of AG versus Kevin Durant is so exciting. But also the matchup against Şengün against Jokic is going to be a phenomenal matchup. They always go head to head. They battle it out. So I'm excited to see what comes of this game, but I think that this is one of the real competitive games Denver actually needs to win rather than we want them to win it. I think that going against a full-on contender in the Western Conference, like the Rockets, we're probably going to end as a top 5 seed. You need to win this game to go ahead and secure that, that title of being a top contender in the Western Conference. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below if you guys want me to cover anything. Let me know what you guys think about the trade targets, or if there are any other trade targets you want me to cover. I'll build some packages, and I'll get back to you guys next episode. I'll see you guys later.